but you brought up a point where it's a question that I wanted to ask, which is that you, it sounds like therapy, Prozac, all of that really helped you. And there's such a stigma with mental health and seeking help. What would you say to someone who hasn't looked for help, but really could use that?
Oh, yeah. And I say it to people, I often say, you might just want to try talking to somebody about it, and just sort of, because, and to me, I can't even imagine that people wouldn't go to therapy. I mean, I don't know how, because I had this friend who he would say, well, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go and they're going to, tell me that my parents screwed up and, and my parents did the best they could do. And I always thought, well, the thing is, of course your parents did the best they could do. And I don't, hold anything against my parents, but I understand, therapy helped me understand what happened. That's all then why I have the reactions to things today that happened then, what the similarity is to, sort of these experiences that kind of got encapsulated inside me when I was a little kid. We have like 5 issues our whole life, really, the same 5 issues, right? Or something, I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but, the same thing can trigger that encapsulated experience all these years later. And instead of freaking out, I can kind of go, oh yeah, you know what? This isn't really about this. It's really about this other thing, but I'm safe from that. And, and that's what I'll say to people, this is why it helped me, because I have a tool that I didn't have then. And I wouldn't have had if somebody hadn't walked me through that a few times to kind of see how those things, because you think, how could something that happened to me when I was 5 years old, and I didn't have huge trauma that happened to me, luckily, but I was around a lot of chaos and I didn't feel particularly safe from kind of emotional chaos. There was no violence, there was nothing like that. It was a pretty classically middle-class family, white middle-class family, but I felt their chaos. And so, I just say that to people, it's been really helpful to me to just understand my story, and then the story doesn't own me, so then I can move away from it if I want to, and I can have perspective, right?
Yeah,
and so I try to say that
the driver of your story, the writer, really, the writer of the story.
Yeah, and it's good. It's really helpful, and it makes life easier for me, man. To just kind of go, oh yeah, and normalizes things, because I think if we stay really separate from other people, I think it's back to your very first question about people being scared. If we stay really separate from other people and we don't tell the truth or we don't ask them for their truth, I think what happens is you don't normalize much. You think you're somehow abnormal when really we all had, stuff that happened and we learned some way of coping, and maybe it's not all that useful at this point. Maybe we would like to change how we respond, and it kind of gives you that tool. At least it did for me.
Yes. And even in coaching, part of the work that I have to do when I am working with clients is that we do have to do some of that deep dive, because you can't get past the inner blocks or some of that if you don't deal with some of that before you can make a decision of what direction you want to take.
Yeah, exactly.
Understand.
Yeah. I mean, to me, mental health and human connection and authentic human connection is more valuable. I mean, I am certainly on some level an environmentalist. I'm all these things that people are really concerned about. I have those same concerns, but truthfully for me, my biggest concern is that we have authentic connections with other humans. I mean, and we can be we can be emotionally healthy and emotionally responsible grown-ups, that I can know my story and I can manage my emotions. And so I might still be unhappy or still be mad or whatever, but it's not unfamiliar to me. I can be like, yeah, okay, that's happening. And so we got to kind of cope with that, you know? So it's
Yeah.
a huge piece to me. And I realize that other people are like, not in a million years would I do that. And I just think, well, okay. Probably not in a million years would I jump out of an airplane, and maybe other people think that's the best thing that ever happened, you know, so.
Yes, you do you, and it helps, it works for you. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has helped. Clearly, it has definitely has helped.
Yeah. So that's good.
Wonderful. So what is something that, and maybe you've mentioned it already, but what is something that you deeply yearn for that you're still on the journey to attain?
Well, I would like to have, I, I want to say confidence, but what I really want, I would love to be able to move a little more freely in the world than I am currently doing. You know, like I would like to be able to feel like I would try some things that, like with writing, I tend to give up kind of quickly, you know, like, and I would like to take some more risks. And part of the risk is just sitting with it and working on it. And I have a tendency to be judgmental of my writing really quickly. So I'll be like, no, I'm never going to be able to do this, you know? So I'm trying to put myself in some situations where that, you know, working with this writing coach and, you know, kind of making it, we just met yesterday and I, you know, just have a kind of a schedule with her, like sending her some stuff, talking about what form I want this sort of book idea that I'm working on to take. And, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, I'd love to be able to move myself forward in that way, you know? And that's probably the hardest thing for me. Like working at community college is like nothing compared to that in my thinking, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, I'll make this short, but this funny story. When I went to Goucher, I thought, ew, I'm kind of a little bit of a imposter because all these people are journalists, you know, and I wasn't really a journalist. I was much more just kind of an essayist. And so I was feeling a little bit like, you know, I hope no one finds out who I really am, you know, that kind of thing. And then pretty gradually, I realized that most of these people were in this program. They were journalists, but they were in this program so that they could get a master's degree to teach journalism in college or community college. And I just think, see, we all just have our shtick, you know, we all just have the thing that we think we want to do, you know, and I'm like, that's what you want to do? I mean, you know, so you can sort of see.
Already.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
good.